Hi, everyone. Welcome to our inaugural screening of Science on Screen. Very excited. I'm Susan Rubel. I'm the executive and artistic director at Aspen Film, and I'm terribly sorry, but I'm going to have to read all of this because there's a lot to remember. I normally don't like to do that, but want to get all the facts and organizations in. So as I said, this is our inaugural Science on Screen program. Science on Screen is a nationwide initiative of the Coolidge Corner Theater in Brookline, Mass., with major support from the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation. The program features creative pairings of current, classic, cult, and documentary films with lively introductions by notable figures from the world of science, technology, and medicine. We were honored to have been selected to present our version of this prestigious series and had a great time curating the films and guest speakers. This is an exciting program for Aspen Film and a great opportunity to work with some of the Valley's innovative and phenomenal partners, including Aspen Center for Physics, Aspen Science Center, Bridging Bionics, the Isaacson School at Colorado Mountain College, and Mountain Chalet Aspen. Tonight's special partner is aiEDU, a nonprofit that works with students and teachers to build AI literacy. And our guest presenters will be Cristina Nowak, Chief Learning Officer of aiEDU, and Jessica Ann, Instructional Design Lead at aiEDU. They will discuss equitable learning and how to teach students to thrive in the age of artificial intelligence. Our program kicks off with a short film, The Sun Like a Big Dark Animal, which was presented at Shorts Fest 2015, which will be followed by a conversation with Cristina and Jessica, and then right into our feature presentation, Spike Jonze's Her, featuring Joaquin Phoenix, and Scarlett Johansson is his AI love interest. We are going to get started with our short, and then I'm going to bring Cristina and Jess up to chat with you and answer some questions before we start the feature presentation. If you're not aware, this is a 3-part series, and the next film and program will be January 10th, where we'll be showing a film that if you don't know it, you should know it, called The Crash Reel, which is about a snowboarding accident that led to a traumatic brain injury in Quechee, Vermont. It is, do you remember his first name? No. It's the son of the Simon Pierce glassblowing family who had the injury. And the director, Lucy Walker, will be here with Amanda Boxtel from Bridging Bionics here in Aspen. And then we conclude in March with Hidden Figures. And we'll be working with the Aspen Physics Center on that one. So we hope to see you back. Enjoy and stick around for the full program. Thank you. All right. Our special guests for the night, Jessica Ann and Cristina Nowak.
Let me just get my industrial size.
Testing.
Hi, everyone. How's it going? How are y'all doing? Can you hear me okay? Yeah? Okay. We're teachers, so we're going to make you participate in whatever we talk about today, just so you know. Don't make us cold call people.
We will cold call you.
So yeah, we don't have that long with you, but as you heard before, I'm Cristina, this is Jess, and we work for a company called the AI Education Project. What we want to do today is just give you a little overview of what we do, who we are, and then hear from you about how you think AI is impacting you and your community. So to start us off, just a little bit about the company we work for. aiEDU is a national 501c3 nonprofit, and our mission is to bring exciting, equitable AI education to K-12 students across the country. Now, what do we mean by AI education? And this is really important because when I say that phrase, people tend to think of one or two things. They either think we're talking about like robots that replace teachers or something like that, or they think we're referring to really heavy technical coding, computer science-based education, right? That's not actually what we're focused on at aiEDU. What we do is more focused on AI literacy, on making our students AI literate. And what I mean by that is every single student, every single person in this room is going to have their lives impacted greatly by artificial intelligence in the near future. In fact, probably it's already impacting your lives greatly on a daily basis as it is. We want students, regardless of whether they want to code or become engineers and so on, we know that they need to be able to use AI, to define AI, and really importantly, to think critically about AI and how it is impacting them and the world around them. And that's what we do at the AI Education Project. So a little bit about me, and then I'll hand it off to Jess. I'm Cristina. I'm the Chief Learning Officer at aiEDU. So I came to this organization with about a decade of experience as an educator in the CS education space. Most of that time spent with Girls Who Code. I don't know if we have any educators in the room are familiar, but the Girls Who Code is an organization that focuses on getting young women into the tech space. Before that, I was a social studies teacher, actually, and now I run the education team at aiEDU. And Jess, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and kind of explain what you do at the org.
Okay, thanks, Cristina. So my background is in art and technology. I have 2 art degrees, including a film and video degree. So I'm quite pleased to be at the Aspen Film Institute. Anyhow, I ended up in the classroom. I taught in a high school in South Baltimore for 5 years, and I taught classes at the intersection of art and technology. In 2018, I started integrating AI into my courses. This is before kind of all the mainstream tools that we know of now, like ChatGPT. This is long before that stuff, so there weren't very many resources. So I started creating my own for my students, and that launched me on the journey that I am now, where I have the opportunity and the privilege to create resources on the learning team that are, implemented in classrooms across the country. So we create AI literacy curriculum specifically for high schoolers. It's all for free. It's all on our website, aiEDU.org. And so we're here. We're talking about AI today. We want to ask you all, and you can just shout out your answer if you have one. What's the first word that comes to mind, or what do you think of when you hear the term AI, the acronym for artificial intelligence? You can just shout it out if you have something. What's that? Sam Altman.
Altman. Oh, that's
so. If you don't know Sam Altman, can you tell the audience who Sam Altman is?
Currently? Well, I guess he's...
Oh, that's complicated.
Well, I guess he's back as the head of OpenAI.
So OpenAI, if you don't know, is the organization that created ChatGPT, which you may be familiar with. Other thoughts that come to mind when you hear the term AI?
No wrong answers.
Unknown.
Ooh, I love that one.
Overhyped.
The Matrix. Artificial. Yeah, right. Like, let's get, yeah.
Overinterested.
Okay.
What was that?
Overinterested.
Overinterested?
Yes.
All right. I love that. Excellent.
Anything else? Okay, well, Cristina, you are, around the country asking this question. I'm really curious to hear what you hear most often when that question is asked.
So I do ask this question of every presentation I do. Usually it's with educators, but I get the same 3 answers. Number 1 is robots. Number 2, these days, is ChatGPT. That wasn't always the case, but that's what we hear now. And number 3 is Armageddon, Terminator, end of the world. Something that implies that it is absolutely like the destruction of humanity. So those are the things that I generally get. So maybe a better, more practical question. I mentioned before that AI is probably already impacting all of your lives on likely a daily basis. Here's another shout out question. Can anybody name some type of AI-powered tool or application that either you or people you know are using regularly? Dolly. Oh, wow. A lot of people. Midjourney. Adobe. Anything else?
Police.
Did you say the police? You're absolutely
You're right.
correct.
We're not going to get.
We're not going to go
right.
down that tonight, but yeah, you're right.
We're not going to go down the rabbit hole, but you're right. Yeah, anything can. Yes, those are all true, and even things like Gmail. Anybody here use Gmail? Autocorrect, right? Autocorrect. That's AI. Netflix, social media, all AI powered. What am I missing? GPS. I heard somebody say GPS. Yeah. TikTok. Absolutely.
Oh, Garden. I just bought one.
What is that?
Garden.
Garden?
I actually haven't heard of Garden.
Like an actual.
Cameras on it, and it's a device that grows actual organic plants.
Oh,
So I
interesting.
can interface with their team, and they can look at my plants to see how they're doing.
My partner is going to go crazy for that. I'm sorry to have this face of like shock, but
Why?
Garden with the Y, like,
DYM,
okay.
and it's very looks to my neighbors like a pot situation.
Is that legal in Colorado? I'm not from Colorado. Are we? All right, got it. Not to get off again. Okay, we'll talk later. Yeah.
Somebody mentioned Surrey. Who
Yeah.
said Surrey?
That was you. Yeah.
So that's really interesting as it relates to the film that we're about to watch. If no spoiler alerts, but there is a sentient AI agent that is prominent in the film, and one of the main characters, played by Joaquin Phoenix, seeks companionship with this sentient AI agent. But what's so interesting about this is when this film came out 10 years ago, Surrey was just coming online. Surrey, of course, at the time wasn't as robust as it is now, but Surrey is an agent you could engage in a much more human-like conversation with. It doesn't represent the spectrum of AI agents that are out there that people are engaging with every day in the same way you'll see the character engage with. I have some other thoughts, but I want to just make space if you have.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the reason that we point that out is because 10 years ago when the film Her came out, the idea of using something like Siri as a companion, right, like a sentient companion for a human being, seemed pretty far-fetched. And now here we are 10 years later, and it's not at all. I mean, at this point, literally, I don't know if anybody here uses ChatGPT, but ChatGPT will speak to you in a voice that sounds almost exactly like Scarlett Johansson's. I mean, it's literally like what you're going to see in the movie, although it's not sentient. And so one of the reasons that this really interests us as educators is because as this idea of agents like Siri becoming a replacement for human companionship, we are seeing as educators a very clear trend in loneliness amongst preteens and teenagers. And I don't know, Jess, you know a little bit about that.
Yeah. Does anyone here use Snapchat? Any Snapchat folks in the room? So Snapchat's a popular app. There was a study that was just published by an outfit in the UK, and they acknowledged that 4 out of 5 online teenagers are engaging with conversational chatbots like what you'll see in the film tonight in apps that they use every day, like Snapchat. So it's not like a hypothetical. It's a thing that we see happening even now with very little awareness or understanding for what that engagement might come of that, for the teenager, long term. So as folks in the education space, like, we're really empowered to bring an awareness of like the implications to students who will engage with our curriculum.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious, people in the audience, how many people here, well, either are a teenager or have like a preteen or teenager in their lives? Yeah, quite a few. How many people here who raised their hand know what types of AI agents those teenagers are engaging with on a daily basis? Yeah. Do you know specifically? Like, would you be able to tell us? Yeah, Snapchat and TikTok. That's the big one. So I bring that up because this is one great example of why we do the work that we do. right? So I mentioned before that we're focused on literacy, not just coding or technical pieces. We know there's a loneliness epidemic amongst teenagers and preteens, and we know that rather than going to generally the adults in their lives, even to their peers, they are seeking out a remedy for that loneliness from AI and technology applications. And what we want as educators, and what I think is our responsibility as adults in general, is to ensure that are these kids able to evaluate critically these agents that they are engaging with on a regular basis? Are they able to understand when is it appropriate to go to Snapchat versus going to a licensed mental health professional? Or the fact that when you engage with Snapchat or ChatGPT and ask those programs, I'm being bullied or I'm feeling depressed, and these are things that we're seeing teenagers do they understand that those applications are taking that data? They're taking everything you're telling them and putting it into their system. And so I bring all of this up because it relates to the film, but because it is one excellent example of why we think it is so important to integrate AI literacy into our school system in the same way that we have reading, writing, and arithmetic. So that is our little spiel about connecting this to the film that we're about to watch. But yeah, I mean, what I would really love to do is to hear, now that you know what we do for a living, what our org does, is to hear if anybody has any comments or questions that we could answer about AI or AI education. Yeah.
On kind of what you were just talking about.
Please.
There's been the conversation about like phones causing loneliness for a while. This is the first time I've heard AI come in that.
Right.
And like, are there specific efforts? Are there specific things about trying to get ahead of it? Because with like social media and other things, it feels like it happened. People are like, wow, this is addictive. This is makes people lonely. And now we're still in the early phase of AI, and you hope that people can see that coming. And I'm guessing you guys do, but big picture.
That's our hope.
What's the
That's a great question, and I love that you brought up social media. I think it's the perfect example. We were just speaking about this over dinner, but the motto in the tech industry is move fast and break things, right? Not fix things, just break them. Fail, see what happens. And when it comes to social media, it's not only like, oh, it turned out to be addictive, right? It was built to be addictive. It was built to pull you in and keep you there. And I think one of the difficult parts about AI when it comes to kind of the for-profit tech industry is, the tech industry can create a problem and then also say they're the ones who offer the solution. Right. And that's what you're seeing happening right now. I mean, you see leaders from the AI industry going to government officials and saying, we can help you come up with the answers to these. I'm not saying that's not genuine. For a lot of people it is. But the issue, of course, is that they have a stake in getting people addicted to these AI technologies. And so this is not to like toot our horn or anything, but I think this is a place where nonprofits come in, a place where organizations that don't have skin in the game in that sense. For example, at aiEDU, we almost exclusively only take unrestricted funding when it comes to people who are providing us with money. They can't tell us what to do with it. They can't tell us what to say or what to teach people. But that's also why we think it's vital to educate communities and to bring this to like actual classroom teachers, right? Because they're the people who have access to the students. They understand their needs, their aspirations. It's going to be a group effort though. And I will say, I hate I'm such an optimist, so I hate sounding negative, but we cannot make the same mistake that we did with social media of trusting the tech companies will do it on their own, because they won't. But Jess, I don't know if you have anything in particular you'd want to add to that.
Thank you. I like what you said.
Yeah. It's a great question though.
On their own, what do you mean? What's it?
So what I mean when I say do it on their own is
regulate themselves.
Right. So there's very little to no regulation on social media, for example, or even now. So these companies that are building AI technologies, for example, AI runs on data, right? Millions, billions of data points, right? So when you watch Netflix, it is collecting your data. What do you watch? When do you watch it? How long do you watch it? Where do you watch it, right? All of those things it's taking from you. That's part of the deal, basically. What we're saying is that the companies who build these AI-powered tools, they cannot be trusted to regulate, for example, we're going to have the honor system for how we use your data, right? We can't trust them to do that. We need government, in my opinion, to step in and actually regulate them in the same way that they regulate media companies. So my point is we can't assume that tech companies are on the honor system, and we have to understand that they are, at the end of the day, there to make a profit. And if making a profit means they will purposely design an algorithm to get a 12-year-old addicted to YouTube, or that they will take your data and sell it to the highest bidder, they will do that. And we can't trust them to just not do it because it's the right thing to do. So that's kind of what we mean. Like, we need regulation from outside of the tech industry. But we also just have to keep people informed. Like, that's the truth. Like, does everybody in this room know exactly what data was collected from them today? Right? And I think that's the other thing that we need. Because tech moves fast and government moves very, very, very slowly. Yeah.
And I'll just add that these are the kinds of conversations that our curriculum aims to create the condition for in classrooms across the country.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Is there any effort to incorporate in a positive way AI and LLMs into mental health treatment and awareness?
Yeah, that's such a good question, because it is really easy to get caught up on the negative, scary pieces of this, right? And we should be well aware of those. But there are definitely positives to this. I mean, for example, a robust mental health app could potentially provide access to mental health care to people who wouldn't be able to access it otherwise, right? But what we would need to know is that app able to direct people to humans when really necessary, for example? I don't know, Jess, if you have other great examples. It doesn't have to be mental health related, but there are a lot of positives of AI. It shouldn't only be scary. It should just be balanced. Yeah.
I can think of an example specifically as it relates to teenagers, and that is teenagers in spaces where they don't have access to adult support that they need. And so maybe there is an interface that can provide that, but always operating in a way that is aligned with, a conscientious design, so that when the diversion to the human support is needed, it is provided. I think there's countless opportunities for AI to do good, and it already is, and we're seeing it in education, especially as it relates to alleviating the burden on teachers and the work that they perform. So we're excited about the potentials of AI, but always conscientious of the shadow side, as it were.
So how do you guys balance notions of, like, people can write their papers and use AI to write papers?
This is it, right?
Make art versus children learning how to make art and write papers? Like, if you're teaching them how do you guys balance that out?
Yeah.
Can I say
go,
we
yeah,
have as an organization, we recognize that teachers are the expert in the classroom, and so we aim to empower teachers with tools that they can use, but at the end of the day, they will likely be the right person to make that decision. But I'd be curious to hear what you think too.
Yeah, I mean, and I think this is top of everyone's mind in education, right? Which is ChatGPT is incredibly good at mimicking human intelligence, and I could go to ChatGPT right now and say, write a 10-minute presentation for an event at Aspen Film Fest, and it would write a 10-minute presentation for me, and I could read it, right? And so the concern at schools is, if I assign students an essay on the Civil War, Are they just going to ChatGPT and saying, write me an essay on the Civil War and then handing it in? I think there are a few things going on there. I think number one, the biggest thing is this is not going away, right? We can't ignore it as educators. We can't ignore it as parents. Like, we have to accept that the world is changing. And I think it means, number one, that education is going to change with it. I think that the way that we assess students' work and learning is going to change with this in mind. When calculators became widespread, it's like we had to change how we taught students, and it included calculators, right? And we just had to accept that that's available to them. I think that the truth is that as amazing as something like ChatGPT might look when you have it, say, write an essay, I'll give you an example. If you have ChatGPT write an essay and say, I want you to cite research on this in APA style, it will make up citations that don't exist. I've actually had it write a paper, have citations, and then said, does this citation actually exist? And it said no. Right? So it's not perfect yet. And what I think that we can do as educators, and this is just a personal opinion, is what we can do is teach students to use the tools effectively in a way that frees up their time to do more of the creative side of things. So, for example, you might ask ChatGPT to help you write an outline of what happened during the Civil War, but then you can be taught to work from that outline to make it based on your personal perspective, because ChatGPT can't do that. ChatGPT can't write your perspective, right? But at the end of the day, what we can do really is we can teach students how to use the tools, because generative AI, it's going to be part of their jobs. I guarantee it, no matter what they do. So now our job is teach them how to use it. And I think it's a total reevaluation of what is it that we really value about teaching students. It's a really difficult question, though. Really difficult, yeah.
A couple things. I work for a school district, and we actually had in-service this summer on AI, and we basically pulled together all the things that we thought were wrong with AI, and then, of course, AJ Giuliani led the seminar. Said, now ask AI to solve it. And I thought that was a very interesting thing. When we flipped it and made it as a tool as it should be.
Right, it's a tool.
When you make that switch, it's very important. Right now, we have a software called Toddle as AI that writes the rubrics for every teacher that's doing the work with IB assessment. So, I mean, it's incredible the time saving that can occur with that, with a lot of the stuff that was part of the teaching craft that can be done instantly now. So, we need to look at it as a tool. Like, often we lose sight that the genie's already out of the bottle.
Yeah, it's there. And that's what we think of too, even with teachers. It's like AI ChatGPT could write a bus schedule, and then you can use that time that you freed up to do some individual one-on-one time with a student who really needs it, right? That's like, how can an AI augment the work you're doing, not replace it? I think is really important. But the other thing I will say about this is we are seeing a huge discrepancy when it comes to accessibility to understanding these tools for students. So I had a very expensive, I'm talking $80,000 a year, private high school in New York approach us to say, would you be willing to build for us a semester-long course that's about generative AI focused on how to use ChatGPT effectively? At the same time, New York City public schools had banned ChatGPT in the school system, right? So what does that mean for those students? It means the students who are wealthy enough to go to that first school are going to be well prepared to use this tool that is going to be ubiquitous in the career field, whatever career field they choose, right? They're going to have 10 legs up in that sense. Whereas the students going to New York City public schools who couldn't afford that private school are going to graduate without this skill set that is now going to be a requirement for the careers that you choose. And so I think really what we have to do is, like you said, see it as a tool, teach our students to use it, and also present these questions to the students. You would be shocked by how absolutely brilliant they are when you say, do you think ChatGPT should be allowed in this classroom? they will debate it. They don't all agree. So I think that we just kind of have to trust that our students are capable, and we have to know, how do we pose those questions? How do we create that space where they can make their own decisions? Sorry, that was a long answer, Jess, if there's something you want to say. I know, I'm sorry. I know we're going to go over, yeah.
Okay. Thank you all.
Okay, well, we're going to leave flyers, everyone, in case you're interested. Where are they? They're outside.
Sorry, I meant to bring one and show you. So just pretend I'm holding a flyer. There's a bunch of them out there.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you, though, and we're super excited about being more involved in this community. We're at Aspen High School tomorrow. We were there earlier today. Genuinely thrilled to be here and to meet all of you. So thank you so much for hanging out with us for a few minutes. We appreciate you.